What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catropolia again. Still trying to find something to invest in on this lofty marketplace, looking for, fractional real estate investment. Um, I know we talked last time about a property that didn't ended up not wanting to buy any tokens in. Gonna try to find something a little closer to home today. Gonna pick a market that I know that I like. Try to give it. Um, the best opportunity to find something. I poked around a little bit, um, but didn't do any deep due diligence on them yet. But there's this one in Dallas that so far I like. Remember, just because I buy one of these doesn't mean that you should. Definitely do your own due diligence. So far, I just stuck $1,000 on this platform. I wanted to see how moving the money onto it and everything went. That seemed to go well, so I initiated a second amount going on there yesterday, but it does take about a week. So I'm going to try to spend this first thousand. I might split it up over two properties. I might just buy all of one. We'll see how I think this one makes a lot of sense or not. But so this is one. It's a 5401 Odom or Autumn Ave. I think it's probably Odom. It's in Fort Worth. I like Fort Worth, but let's do what we always do, right? I think it's just a good habit to um, always do all the research on everything. So first thing I want to do is check the market, right? So let's see what we can find out about Fort Worth. Obviously, if it was a market I didn't know anything about, and I'm thinking I'm going to spend a lot in here, then I'd probably spend more time on this. But the first thing I always want to do, I just want to see population trends. And I know this is going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. Yeah, I mean, look at Fort Worth has just been booming, right? It's growing like crazy. Something I really like to see. Um, there's plenty of other stuff about the market to look at, and if it was a market I'm completely unfamiliar with, I might want to spend some time on it. But I know, the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex is, one of the biggest MSAs in the country. I think it's number four. I'm actually not sure if it's um, Fort Worth, the fifth most populous in the state. Uh, it's the second largest city in the Dallas Fort Worth. Let's click on the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex because this is what you're really investing in, even though they're two separate cities. Um, it is what? It is the. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to read, but I don't know. It's always right up there though. It's like third or fourth, and maybe it's on this screen and I don't even notice it. But it's very fast. It's fast growing. It's large. A lot of different types of employers there. Although I do think Dallas has a little bit of a concentration in financial services. They've tried to brand themselves as like the Wall Street of the South, or the second Wall Street, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how much of that is just branding and how much of it really matters. But overall, it's a market I like. It's growing. It's large. Um, I think Fort Worth is the more affordable side, and that's also something that I'm always thinking about. It's just like you don't buy the nicest house in the worst neighborhood. I also don't want to buy in the most expensive part of a market. Um, because I feel like it can hurt you. I mean, it depends what your goals are, but it's something I'm not usually doing. So anyway, back to this home. I'm going to look at the property or the pictures they provided for us. This is being run as a midterm rental. They're using Airbnb, but it looks like they're usually renting it out for a month plus. My guess is that there are some short-term rental rules that make it so they can't just use it as a pure short-term rental. Um, I'm not positive about that. That's something, if you really wanted to look into it, you could try to figure out why. And it might questions like that are actually what the investor Discord is good for. You can ask it, and there's a good chance, the person um, that owns the original seller, who's controlling the property, and I think there's a good chance that they'd be able to answer that for you. A lot of times they will on the Discord. One of the things that attracted me to this, it's being sold at a big discount to what, all of the initial offerings are $50 per token. Right now, if you look at the order book, there's quite a few people trying to sell it. There's 33 tokens at $35. And so, if you look at the reason I think that's happening is because there's very little or there's zero rental yield. But if you um, look in the notes right now, it's they had a capital call. They had to replace um, they replaced the HVAC system, I think is what I read in here, and then they're replenishing their reserve, and so they're not paying anything out during that. And I am 100%, understand that. I don't know that that makes the property worth significantly less. And so, if you remember, the way the math works on here is, you look at the total outstanding tokens and multiply it by 50. This was their initial price, right? 593,000. I think when we look at the appraisal, I think I already peeked at it and it's a little bit lower than that, but they always, there's always some additional costs. But if you look at those same outstanding tokens at $35, we're at, 415,000. And so let's look at this, because this is one of the things that makes me really attracted to this site, is I think that there's some opportunity for some mispricing. And this might be one of them, right? I mean, there's uh refi amount, so that's just their cost. This was done in 2021. Um, you can see it sold in 2020 for 226. Oh, that's quite a bit cheaper. Uh, Actually have a friend who's always trying to say he's going to start an appraisal company who their whole point of differentiation is they put their value on the front page. Um, and I think it's pretty funny, but it's also true. I mean, going through appraisals, and it is good to really spend time looking at all the comps in detail if that's something that you want to do. It depends how much you're going to put into one of these properties, right? If I'm going to just buy a $50 token, I'm probably not going to do all the research. If I'm going to buy a 10% stake in it, I'm going to do a lot more. Looks like they said they spent 100,000 on updates. Makes a lot of sense. Looking at some of the comps here. It's a sale. Okay, indicated value by sales comparison approach 520, cost approach 521, income approach 528. So let's look at the lowest one, 520. And so since then, they've now replaced the HVAC. And but if when we're doing our math here, it says 415, right? So unless a situation like this is really attractive to me, right? Like I'm protecting my downside because I'm buying in at a basis that's below the cost of if they liquidate it is what it looks like. Um, that brings up a good point. Let's see what Zillow thinks this is worth, right? That's can be our next spot. And actually, we'll do Zillow and we'll do Homes.com. So, like to get a couple different spots. Okay, so Zillow says 582, right? And so let's go to Homes.com and see what they've got. It's 555. Okay, so both of those are, below where our 35 times outstanding tokens gets us, or above that. So, we're it's very, it looks like you're stepping into this. If you were to buy the whole thing, you're stepping into a decent chunk of equity. But for every token that you buy, I might spend $35 and really be getting 45 in value or something like that. Even where there's no yield today. And so this is one of the reasons that I really like this site. I think at the moment um, there's opportunities, one, to invest in properties on a fractional basis, which, for all the reasons that people like it. But I think also I think we're seeing some real mispricing. I don't understand why people would be willing to sell for so much less than what if they just sold the property they could get for it. Now, maybe they think, the people in control of this are just doing a terrible job and are going to run it into the ground. And, um, I mean, all of that is possible. I mean, there's certainly risks with any of it, but I think this is a very interesting opportunity. Um, I'm going to look at this is the company who's managing it. I usually don't do a whole lot of research on. One, we are able to vote and get a different management company, but I think, like, I would never just look at their own website to get any info about them. But let's see if we can find the actual Airbnb listing. That's what I'm looking for. And this is the host profile. Okay, 4,305, 4.64. This is not a great rating. It's not that bad though for that many reviews and 11 years of hosting. Um, it's really hard to keep this higher, especially when you're managing other people's properties. A lot of times you don't have control over exactly how much they're spending on different repairs and whatnot. So this actually makes me feel pretty good. If it were below 4.5, or if this was just a really small number, I'd be more worried about it. But both of those things, I actually like this one a lot. Um, the fact that they're doing midterm rental, I think that that's a niche that not everybody can do very well. But when you read through the notes, they've had a couple of really decent long stays. So right now there's a 59 nights booked total. And I like this. They give these updates where you're getting, each long booking you're getting some info on. And now, yeah, and this is the info about when they were replacing the AC and what that cost, and there was voting on it. Um, one thing that I think is interesting is, like, you could, if buy up these tokens and then just push for a sale and get a nice little pop, even after expenses and everything. I think that's a possible winning strategy. Uh, but we'll see. We shall see. Why is that address? I don't know if that's the city. Outside unit. Confirm new booking 85 nights. So they're doing a really good job of getting these longer stays, and I don't know how they're doing it, but they've done it several times. Has another booking from 4/1. I think this is interesting. They had, like, no time in between to clean that. I spent a lot of time here in San Antonio working with investors buying short-term rentals, and so um, I've got I think a good sense of, like, how they should operate and what they should look like. And this is, like I said, it's a midterm rental, so it's a little bit different. You've got people staying a little longer. It's much less of a resort feel than what we like to have, but again, I think it's because of that. Um, One thing I want to look at, I always want to look at the financials tab. And like I said, I think if you remember, the reason I'm putting these out here is I just want to share the way I do due diligence on these. I think that I've noticed a lot of people investing in these tokens, only looking at stuff on the site and really only looking at, like, okay, what's the price? What's my yield? Maybe not looking at the market, maybe skipping a lot of different things that I think are important. Looking at, okay, so here we've got our operating reserve. This is what they're trying to replenish. That's why we're not getting any payout. That operating reserve is money that the LLC holds, and it's, if upon liquidation you'd get that payout as well. And so even though it's not getting paid out, it's still increasing the value of what you're holding here. So I think that's kind of interesting. They have no projected appreciation, which is, um, so that yield is not bumping in. I mean, I say no, they have a tiny bit, right? And so it's not like you're counting on that for your return here. I think this is really just a basis play, right? Like you're just buying in for cheap. If once this gets replenished, you're going to have some yield. It might not be amazing yield. It seems like it shouldn't be too bad though, right? Like um, what it's just a matter of cash flow right now. It's not an actual profitability issue, and I think that's what might be lost on some of the people that are selling these for cheap, or maybe they just need the liquidity, and nobody sees the value in buying this. There isn't debt on the property, so that's one of the things. If we were operating as a midterm rental and there was a big mortgage they had to pay, that would scare me a little bit. I know as the token holders, we're not paying that, but as the original seller has to be able to pay that, and they're using, usually they're holding enough tokens that they're using their income from that to pay it. And that would just be a scary situation, right? So it's nice that there's none of that debt. Um, we looked at that. That's the financials tab. They give us some info on the market. This is like, I definitely would always want to read this. Fourth largest metro. Okay, so they had it for me there. I didn't have to find that somewhere else. Um, but I find these are always, relatively short. They don't necessarily tell you. They do show you the, historical appreciation and rent growth, which are both interesting. I really, more than anything, I look at population. I think that, obviously job growth is helpful too. Actual appreciation is great, but I think that even if you've had a run up in appreciation, but you are starting to lose population or your population growth is slowing, that's a sign that there could be some issues. But so yeah, really like this market. This is the only one in that market. Oh, I backed out. I should not have. Um, I like the price point. I'm not worried that it's not currently yielding cash because they are just replenishing their reserve. They're putting, did we pull this up on Airbnb? That's something else, or on AirDNA. I think I actually already have it up. Let me look. Yep, I do. Okay. Here it is on AirDNA. I actually think this is not um, giving the right size. Yeah, it's 5 bedrooms, 3 baths. Because it's really a 3-2 with what they're calling a mother-in-law suite, or is it a 4-2 with a mother-in-law suite? This says 5 bedrooms in their listing, so that's what we're going to give them credit for on here. Let's get back to this. So say, I think it's 5 bedrooms, and so you can definitely do. What do we do here? Am I 5 bedrooms? I'm pretty sure that it's 3 baths. And we'll say you can put at least 10 guests in there, right? What are they? Let's update that. And while that's thinking, I'm going to go back over here. 500. Here's their Airbnb listing. So let's see how they have it listed. 10 guests, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, 6 beds. Okay. Let's go back over here. AirDNA says projected revenue 67,500. Uh, I think we talked about. I normally want to see this as 20% of my purchase price when I'm doing a short-term rental. So that is actually pretty low, right? So 67,500. And I think we talked about we're getting into it at about 415. So we're at 16%. But when I'm doing that 20%, um, I'm not accounting for, it's that's usually before I go and put furniture into it. And for a home this size, I'd be thinking about quite a bit. So at least 50K. So let's do that. Right. So 67,500 divided by 5. Oh, so I'm saving 50K. So I'm going to go the other way, right? So it's like uh 365. Yeah, because it should make it better, right? And so because we're getting the operating business and so it's actually more like we're buying it for 365 and then we're putting all the furniture in and it gets it up to 18 and like I think I said this last time, we're shooting for 20. 18 is something that I would definitely be a buyer at on a lot of properties. I think this just is very, very attractive, the way it is. I am kind of surprised that it's not pulling up itself as a comp. I wonder why that is. Oh, that's my alarm. Sorry about that. Um, they've had 50% occupancy, but a high daily rate. That's what they're projecting. I think this is not completely applicable because they are doing just these longer term stays. Um, but I think it gives you a good sense of, it always makes me feel better when I can get a third party to say, hey, that the amount of money that we're making here makes sense. And so let's go back here. So that was 67,500. And what did we actually have when we looked at the financials tab? We had uh, gross of 62. So that's in line. Um, honestly, I'd like to see a little bit better financials, but in a situation like this one where we're getting a good discount to just the regular sale value, um, I still find this to be an attractive deal. And so like we said, we looked at this order book. There's somebody selling 33 tokens. If I understand this right, these are buy orders and sell orders. So I think that this means that we could just put an order in and get those right away. I'm not sure. I haven't bought anything on here yet. Like I said, I'm learning just like everybody else. Let me go back and see if there was any other. I like these roof stock ratings. I don't know if you know about roof stock or not, but I like their neighborhood rating. I'm actually not really familiar with niches neighbor or zip code rating, but I think zip code is always just too big of a spot. Um, oh, and then of course, one more thing. I'm obviously too excited about this one, right? And don't take that to mean that you should buy it too. It means it might be something that's worth looking into. But for a lot of reasons, I like this one. Um, but I want to just take all the steps, right? Oh, let's go back and get that back up. Yeah, right there. Okay. See what we got here. This looks like the property. It's a corner lot, which I always like that. One of the things that I think about, when I look at property for myself or for a client is, uh, you know, other exit strategies or other things that we could do with this. Now, this one, I think the basis is so good that the most obvious would be a sale, unless, prices have crashed. But I also think this would be a fantastic property to do a rent by the room, where you had someone like Pad Split manage that for you. It's currently 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, but I'm sure with their type of model, and if you're not familiar with it, we can maybe talk about that in another video. But I think with that type of model, you could probably squeeze another bedroom or two into some of the living spaces. And the reason I say that is whenever you have uh, that type of situation, parking is really important. And so corner lots are really ideal because you get a lot more street parking. you have, just better opportunity for adding parking in the side of your property. But I mean, this looks like a nice little neighborhood. Um, this is something I always want to do, right? Is take a little walk down the street, look at the property using Google, because they are. It's a free resource. You can sometimes rule out a property really quickly when you get in there and see, a lot of graffiti, or you see like, 10 broken down cars in the neighbor's backyard or something. But this just looks like a nice little setup. Um, so I think that's all I'm going to talk about. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and pull the trigger and see if I can buy this. Uh, Let me see. What do I want to do? I think I'm going to buy. I have 1,000 on here right now, and I think I'm just going to put it all on this. I mean, so you can see there's a decent amount of due diligence that goes into play um, in buying these, and so I don't want to just buy $50 at a time. I think if your resources are different, that might make perfect sense. So if I'm going to do 35, I think that means I'm going to try to buy 28 of them. Yeah, that gets me to 980. So custom quantity. I want to buy, what did I say, 28. I'm going to do a limit order, and I want to buy at 35. I saw a bunch are selling for 35. It looks like, oh, that gives my, what? Okay, so my fees on this are $58. That's more than I thought they would be. What does that mean? So I'm spending 980 and I'm 58, 90, 980, 6% fees. For some reason, I thought we were paying less than that. I wonder if this is not the type of buy order I'm supposed to be doing. Like I said, I'm still new to this platform. Um, I'm not going to let that stop me though, because I still really like this. So let me do 27. That'll use up everything I've got on here, I think. I do that $35 buy order. Yeah, that gets me just under there. Let me see, preview order. I'm hoping I can get through this and not have it give you, yeah, it blanks out everything except for the number on the account. Using my gift balance, giving my rent applied, trying to get 27 tokens. No, I don't want to make this recurring. Limit price, and so this means I'm not going to spend more than that. Yeah, I'm going to submit that order and see what happens. Submitting order. It's thinking about it for a little while. Oh, success, please read. Oh, this order will activate after ACH payment clears, which may take, wait a minute. Oh no. Did it not? I think I did the wrong thing. I think I didn't take it from my wallet. Um, so that's embarrassing. I'm just not doing that right. All right, let me see. Let me get back out of here. And let me look at that again. Let me get back to that and see. Bye. Oh, okay. So I think what I needed to do, and I'm not going to do this again. Yes, I needed to change this to my Lofty wallet. Ugh, that's what I needed to do because I already have that money in here. Um, okay, so that's a learning lesson. So I just moved it a little bit more onto Lofty than I had planned. Once that ACH clears, I guess I'll have bought that. I'm not going to go and try to do it again. I don't want to screw that up. I am curious if that already took it out of my or the order book. No, see, they still show them in there, so I don't know. I'm not sure how updated that is and how that works, but that is what I did. Um, One thing I had mentioned, I'm going to try a couple different platforms. I'm going to do, I think I had mentioned this one before, but I'm going to start doing ground floor as well. I moved a little bit of money onto here. Again, I just wanted to see how that worked. And then I think I'll add some more. Um, I've played around quite a bit on this site, and I've started to realize I'm not sure that it makes sense to spend the time and go through and do the due diligence and buy individual investments this way, or if I'm going to want to um, have it. They have some automatic setting. The reason it's different on here, even though again, you can do your due diligence on every individual property, but these are not forever properties. These are short-term notes that might be like 18 months, and then if you're going to be doing that, you either have to buy bigger pieces of them or spend a lot more time looking, or you end up with all this churn. It's so you're not getting the same kind of return on your time for working on it. But anyway, that's another site that I think is pretty interesting. I'm going to be spending some time on. I'll probably do a video about it tomorrow or the next day. If you find these helpful, let me know if there's any properties that you'd want me to take a look at. Again, I'm not an expert at all on the platforms themselves. I feel really comfortable saying I'm a real estate investment expert. I've been doing it 20 years. I've helped all kinds of people get started. I just think this is an interesting tool for someone who's just trying to get a little bit of money and into real estate investing initially. I think you can, eventually move a lot, and it's there's the potential to make money, but it's something that I think if you're going to be buying, um, any real estate in this manner, you have to treat it like a real estate purchase, not just like a token purchase. And so that's what I'm trying to show. Hopefully some of you find this helpful. In any case, until next time, I'll keep looking for these, and feel free to send me any that you think are attractive, and I'd be happy to take a look.